this outage happens almost every year. Again, this is telling us that we need a solution. It's a mix between centralized and decentralized, and we leverage both. We use decentralization to solve kind of single node failure issues and availability issues, right? And then we leverage the centralized cloud server to deal with the scalability, the controllability, and the reliability and the latency.
How many years do you think it would take for a decentralized server to be able to host services just like AWS?
I will not say like in the coming like 3-5 years or 10 years, the decentralized infrastructure can completely replace the centralized one. In the Web3 space, we already see some very early stage projects. This is what I can see in the coming 5-10 years. It should be something like this.
Hello everyone, I'm Prashant Jhai, a crypto reporter at CCN, and today I'm joined by Mr. Max Lee, CEO of OORT, a decentralized AI infrastructure company that offers decentralized solutions to the crypto and Web3 ecosystem. Mr. Lee is also an adjunct professor at Columbia University and has experience working on 4G and 5G technologies at Qualcomm Research. And today, in this interview, we'll be discussing the recent AWS outage. Why did it happen? How did it impact the crypto world? And do we need decentralized solution for those? So yeah, hello, Mr. Lee. How are you? How have you been?
Good. Thank you for the introduction. I'm very happy to be here.
Thank you so much. So talking about the recent AWS outage, as you noted, most of the crypto exchanges are dependent on that. And as the AWS infrastructure went down, most of the crypto exchanges went down as well. So what are your views on that? How do you see that recent downturn, and what could be the potential solution for such downturns?
Well, yeah, actually, I believe that many people already saw the news, and also many business, including our business, not my business, but at the Columbia, Columbia University, we have several services, for students and the faculties. These platforms are deployed in on this AWS center, data center base located in East Coast, right, Virginia. So, and they are all got affected basically. And the Coinbase, we know, is gonna be a very big loss for them, right? And several other services. Many companies, I would say, on the east coast of United States, they deploy their service. Not even all of them, but partially their services on AWS. This data center. So yeah, and that. The fact that this outage happens almost every year. Not only AWS, but last year I think is Meta, right? Or our Twitter or Facebook cannot
yes
for hours or something. And then the year before is it was Ali Cloud, right, in Hong Kong, I think, right? So several crypto exchanges cannot run because of that outage. So yeah, this seems like it happen every year, and again, this is telling us that we need a solution, right? So for now, I know that the people may try to figure out some centralized solution. For example, there's multiple ways. Like say you from a company perspective, for example, you can try to deploy your service in different data center regions, not only on the east coast, but on the west coast somewhere, right? And also, but the things like for your whole system, there's a dependencies, inside the system, and how you design the dependency and deploy the different things, different modules in different regions, and then how the dependency works, and do you have some backup, right? The backup module for the certain critical or some modules on the critical path, right? So these are the system architect job in the company basically. But usually this is a not easy job. This is especially for big systems like crypto exchanges, for example, right? It's a very very challenge. If just for like some students and the faculty platform, engagement platform from Columbia, that's easy, right? You can easily design some architecture to back up the platform, by deploy the sub modules in different regions. So this most likely people are trying right now are trying to figure out a way to improve the reliability of the in the use of AWS or Google Cloud or Ali Cloud. And then there are some this time I think the AWS has a problem, like internal like a balancer or balancing load balancing or something like that, or DNS. I cannot say the specific problem which caused this outage, but it's always some internal technical problems. So another approach is a decentralization. And we already see in the Web3 space, we already see some very early stage projects. I will call them early stage projects, although they are like has been running for years. But from a product perspective, I view all of them are still very early stage, right? So you basically the framework is like you incentivize the node provider all over the world and let people like community to contribute their computing power and the storage power, and then you ask the company or your clients to deploy the system over many nodes around the world, just like a Bitcoin mining, right? So, but Bitcoin mining, they just need to run the consensus algorithm, and that consensus algorithm is like a POW based consensus. Is very simple. But for any like platforms in our current services, they are very complicated, way more than the simple consensus algorithm. And in that sense, basically, it is far away from mature to deploy a service, a current Web 2 service on Web 3 infrastructure. It's still too early. And there's a lot of issues there as well. So like latency, reliability, many issues we need to resolve. So yeah, that's the overall picture about what's going on here.
True. So when you talk about the feasibility of a decentralized server or a decentralized infrastructure provider compared to a system like AWS, where do you see it? Like, how many years do you think it would take for a decentralized server to be able to host services just like AWS?
Okay, so yeah, I think this will be like I would never call it replacement. I don't think the decentralized network can completely replace the centralized cloud provider, because each formation has its advantage and a disadvantage, which is determined by the law of nature. It's not because of a technology advance. It's the nature. For example, like when we use centralized data center or cloud service, the most thing the most advantage is scalability and reliability and the latency, right? Because it's all centralized. So everything is fully under control, and especially the latency. You can control the latency. If latency is not good, you can build another data center on proximity, right? So, but in a decentralized way, the latency is always the issue, right? And the reliability is always the issue as well. So I will not say like in the coming like 3-5 years or 10 years, the decentralized infrastructure can completely replace the centralized one, but the decentralized infrastructure can start to host some simple platforms or services step by step. For example, now we can deploy a website on decentralized infrastructure 100%. Right? So yeah, that's doable now. And this gives people a very good availability and reliability. We don't need to worry about the single node failure. Now it's like if the server is down, we cannot even log into any website or something like that because the server is down, right? The blackout. But decentralization is good. But this is the most simple service, like a web hosting service, right? And for some small games, some gaming, we can deploy the games in different nodes, several nodes around the world. So that's doable for small games, right? But maybe as the decentralization of the technology advanced in the coming years, we may start to deploy more complicated services. Uh, you know, um, uh, but they are not requiring much on the latency, for example, right? And scalability, for example, and then we can deploy these services. For example, AI training, right? So we can now in academia we already have I would say kind of a mature algorithms and technologies to enable the AI training over multiple nodes, geo distributed. We call it geo distributed nodes, right? And to do the AI training and the fine tuning. So first of all, this type of service doesn't require latency, like very low latency. You just need to send data and the model to these nodes, and they just running, right? And they talk to each other, but who cares about the latency? Is 100 millisecond or 200 millisecond? It doesn't really matter, right? Um, yeah. So and the training usually take days or hours or weeks, right? So for that kind of application, we can definitely use decentralized infra to lower the cost, right? And we don't need to worry about the single node failure. So it's good, right? Um, and after 5 years, maybe we can start to host them even more complicated, like for example, AI inference. AI inference. We can even now. I know there's some team they are trying to do the AI inference in a decentralized way, right? So then means, for example, now if the OpenAI server is down, we have no service from ChatGPT. You cannot use ChatGPT, right? So the same as what happened today with AWS. But if we deploy the ChatGPT, the GPT in model in different servers in a decentralized way, yeah, we don't need to worry about the single node failure, right? So the GPT service is always there. So 24/7 all year round, no blackout, right? So this kind of a service can be deployed in the coming year. This is what I can see, and we call it Edge AI or like something like that. So but I would say, but still in some components, even in the examples I just gave you, some components need to be deployed in the centralized server. For example, the gateway to for you connecting the users with these decentralized nodes, right? This module usually should be super reliable and under fully control, right? So maybe we still need like a centralized cloud to deploy the gateway node as a gateway node, right? So to fully control the gateway to the services in the back, right? So something like that. So it's a hybrid. It's a hybrid. I will see that I don't think we should replace the centralized data cloud service because it has been developed for more than 20 years, and the technology is all those things are very mature right now, right? And but we can do a hybrid thing. So it's a mix between the centralized and decentralized, and we leverage both. We use decentralization to solve kind of single node failure issues and availability issues, right? And then we leverage the centralized cloud server to deal with the scalability, the controllability, and the reliability and the latency type of thing, right? So yeah, and this is what I can see in the coming 5-10 years. It should be something like this.
Yeah, I mean, that's like the best use case, combining the both. So,
Mm-hmm.
like moving on to the next part, I'll ask you about the vulnerabilities. Which parts of the crypto stack are most vulnerable to these kind of infrastructure failure, like exchanges, node, data oracles, or wallets? And which ones do you think industry underestimates the most?
You mean the crypto projects or crypto verticals? Any
Yeah,
verticals
yeah, the
fit
verticals
to
which are more
the
dependent
decentralized
on
infra?
AWS system. Yes.
Well, of course, not exchange.
Mhm.
Exchange, they have a very strict requirement, very high requirements on the latency and the scalability, right? And they need fully control. They need full controllability. So, uh, but I think for example, like Web3 projects, like a decentralized storage, right, and also like the rendering job, right, by leveraging GPUs, right, and some like NFT projects, right, and some like crypto. There's some like a crypto community building website projects, or even some crypto news, right? Some like a newsletter, some like a media channels. This type of a platform will be, I think, will be the first one of the first, I would say, Web3 projects who are a good fit for the decentralized deployment.
So yeah, talking about decentralized ecosystem, do you see any viable migration path for crypto companies to move away from centralized infrastructure like AWS? Or do you think decentralized infrastructure is like very expensive or complex at this moment? Like, do you think it would again take time?
Yeah, I think it will take time. For now, I don't see any motivation for any Web3 projects. Move away from AWS or a Google Cloud into some decentralized infra. There's a two reasons, or in my mind. First is the technology in decentralization is not mature. There's lots of uncertainties. Nobody want to be like the first child in this kind of a technology, right? People gonna wait and watch. Is other people use this technology and they feel good, and also they save them lots of money, and then I will do the same, right? But no one want to be the first, because this is risky. And the second is, if the decentralized infra projects in general are small projects compared with the Web2 cloud service providers. Like, say, if you compare, for example, the market cap, if you compare the market cap of these decentralized infra projects with AWS, with the Google Cloud, it's tiny. It's tiny. It's not in the same scale, right? Yeah. Then the problem is this: if I deployed my service on the centralized server and they failed and I have a big loss because of this. So AWS or Google Cloud, they will pay me for that, right? As a compensation. Yeah, of course, I don't need to worry that, oh, AWS go bankruptcy because of this, right? They're gonna pay me. Of course, this time, I believe AWS is gonna pay lots of money to Coinbase and some other business, right? For their loss. And you know that they have this SLA proof agreement usually, right? But for decentralized projects, because they are very small projects, if they host many services and they have some tech issues and they cause a big loss for this business, do you think they have the capability to pay off all the big loss from these services? Of course not. They will go bankruptcy because they're small. They're a very small company, right? So even their market cap cannot be cover the cost, the loss of these services. So then, if this is the case, then from a customer perspective, they don't trust. They don't trust, right? Because if something happened, then they lose money. They maybe there's no way for them to get their money back from the service provider, right? And the service provider can say, "Oh, sorry, I go bankruptcy because of this." So what you can do with it, right? So that's the problem. And also, if you store your files, your business critical files, the data, your user data on any decentralized storage, infrastructure, if they go bankruptcy or if they lose your data, what you can do? You lawsuit them, and then they pay you back. I mean, it's not. But if you use Amazon, yeah, it's no problem, right? So even you don't need a lawsuit, they will pay you back. They will pay you the money, right? And then you can pay your customer because of this service loss. So this is a real business perspective. I think because of these two, one is the technical perspective, and from business perspective, I don't think in the short run we will see any Web3 projects. They will deploy their service 100% or most of their service on decentralized infra. But this is the trending. This is trending. People gonna watch, and imagine like 20 years ago. I think back to 1998 or 1999, when AWS first started to promote their cloud service like S3 storage, right? It's very challenging. People don't trust them, and people think like the data should be in my computer, right? How can I, like, you ask me to upload my data to the cloud, which I have no idea what the cloud is, right? How about my privacy? And if I lost my data because of you, what's gonna happen, right? You're gonna pay me, or you're gonna what, right? This is all my very personal data, important business data, right? But now people use AWS by default. I mean, any business data just upload to AWS. They feel even safer compared with storing all the data in their local machine, right? So that's, people need time to, to be ready for the new technology. Yeah, it's a mind shifting.
Yes. So, as you mentioned about a hybrid solution earlier, do you think any decentralized solution could have averted this technical glitch? Like, as you mentioned, the uh, no distribution, no single point of failure. So, do you think any decentralized solution could have prevented or at least curtailed the damages to like minimum?
So far not. So far not. But if we talk about very specific use case, maybe there are some cases. For example, like a decentralized storage, but
Hmm.
for archiving. Okay, not this like hot data storage. For the cold data storage, yes, decentralized storage can help and lower the cost, and you don't need to worry about this single node failure. But that's not the latency sensitive, basically, right? And
Right.
for let's say this decentralized like AI training services, yes, the decentralized can help and can be used in some way. Yeah, I mean, I would say in general, not no. My answer is no. But in very specific use case, yes, we may use decentralized infra.
So you see the likes of big player like Coinbase, Binance, they are already into so many things in crypto. They are into technology, DApps, DeFi, software, smart contracts. Do you think any of these big players could like get into the infrastructure side of it so that they don't have to depend on, let's say, AWS or a third party, since the scale of Web3 infrastructure is currently very low? So do you think a major player could come in and change that? Someone like Binance or a Coinbase could spin off a company for infrastructure or data centers.
I would say I will put it in this way. So I think they will do something, right? Because every time when this happens, they have a big loss for sure. Um, but they will do kind of a decentralization among the centralized data service cloud service providers. For example, like uh, Coinbase may not only deploy their like services 100% or most of the service on the East Coast AWS data center. Maybe
Mhm.
they will restructure their system architecture, or and deploy the services, some service on the East Coast data center, and some service on the West Coast, and or in Canada, in some other regions, or even in Asia, right? So, but they may have like 5, 6 nodes in a decentralized way, but all of these nodes are still provided by centralized
Softwares.
centralized data centers, not like decentralized projects. They cannot host such critical services, I would say. Yeah. But you see, but even this is, I think, is important for people to start to figure out, even from a tech perspective, how they can deploy a very complicated and big system into different nodes, right? Several nodes in a decentralized way. I think this is a very good one step forward towards decentralization. And maybe after 5 years, 10 years, and then when the Web3 decentralized infra projects, some of them become big, become mature, and then that's all automatically the like Coinbase or Binance, they will start to use some services from these infra companies.
Well, for my final question, I'd like you to give us some examples of key players who are working on decentralized infrastructure projects, something you are looking up to, some projects that have caught your attention.
Yeah, so there are several projects. First of all, OORT, we ourselves, is one of the decentralized AI projects. We help companies to collect, processing, and monetize their AI data. Right, we are focusing on the AI data domain, but in a decentralized way. Right, and AI data, is the most important part of in the AI space. Right. So who own the data in the future? Who gonna own the AI agents? And also there are several decentralized storage and a decentralized compute project, right? So for example, Storage, which is also one of our partners, they did lots of good stuff, and their technology is good. You can go to their website and look at their services. It's the decentralized storage. And also for decentralized computing, we know that so far I'm watching several projects, but I don't know, to be honest, I don't know if they have real business, right? For example, like IO.net, which is also our partner, and right, and BitTensor and Aether, right? So these are the in the decentralized GPU domain. I'm watching them. I'm and see the progress. But so far, I don't know. I don't know if they have real paying customers or something like that.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for that insightful conversation. And it was a pleasure hosting you. And I'll be looking forward to more uh, projects and developments at OORT. So, yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your time.